Hello and welcome back to BookPod. We are officially hitting the ground running today with Season 1, Episode 10. We're currently in Week 10 of our 12-week creative journey together, which means it's time to lean into the gentle, deeply healing lessons inside Chapter 9, recovering a sense of compassion. Today, we're unpacking the true relationship between fear and laziness, why we must find our creative enthusiasm, how to diagnose a devastating creative U-turn, and how to blast through our creative blocks using a precise 5-point formula. We will also dive into an extensive breakdown of this week's heavy-hitting tasks, including a major review of your morning pages, visualization techniques, priority mapping, and finding your own artist totem, before wrapping up with our weekly check-in. This chapter is an emotional lifeline in our recovery. It shifts us away from the raw discipline of the past few weeks and asks us to treat our inner artist with unconditional kindness. Over the next few minutes, let's unpack these concepts together and look at how we can transition from a place of harsh self-criticism to absolute creative compassion. Fear and laziness. To truly recover a sense of compassion, Chapter 9 requires us to look at our lack of productivity through a completely different lens. When we find ourselves stuck, avoiding our projects, or staring blankly at our workspaces, we immediately reach for the harshest labels. We call ourselves lazy, undisciplined, or weak-willed. But Julia Cameron drops a profound truth in this chapter. Laziness doesn't exist in a creative recovery. What we call laziness is actually just terror. When an artist is blocked, they are not refusing to work out of a lack of care. They are paralyzed by an intense, overwhelming fear. It might be the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, or even the fear of success and what it will change. When you label a frightened inner artist as lazy, you are essentially yelling at a terrified child to run faster. It only causes them to freeze up further. Compassion means recognizing that your inaction is a defense mechanism. Instead of beating yourself up for not producing enough, you need to ask yourself, what am I actually afraid of right now? Only by numbing the fear can you begin to soothe it and move forward. Enthusiasm. Once we stop using brutal discipline to force our art, we can replace it with the true engine of creativity, enthusiasm. We have been conditioned to believe that great art is born from grueling, miserable duty. We tell ourselves we must sit at our desks and suffer for our craft. Julia completely challenges this. She reminds us that the word enthusiasm actually comes from the Greek meaning, filled with God, or the God within. Creativity is meant to be a form of play, not a chore. It thrives on joy, curiosity, and excitement. When you are genuinely enthusiastic about a project, discipline becomes unnecessary because the work pulls you forward naturally. If you have been forcing yourself to work on something that feels heavy, dull, and soul-crushing, you haven't lost your discipline. You've lost your enthusiasm. Compassion means giving yourself permission to follow what actually excites you right now, even if it feels silly or unimportant to the rest of the world. Follow the joy, and the art will take care of itself. The creative U-turn. This brings us to one of the most vital concepts in the entire book, the creative U-turn. A creative U-turn happens right when you are on the verge of a major artistic breakthrough. You've been doing your morning pages, your confidence is building, you finally start that big project, and suddenly, you completely sabotage it. You miss a critical deadline, you pick a massive fight with someone who supports your work, you abandon the draft entirely, or you get completely overwhelmed and tell yourself you're a fraud. This is a creative U-turn. It happens because success and visibility shake up our old, comfortable comfort zones. Your ego panics at the thought of actual growth and pulls the emergency brake to keep you safely small. If you have made a creative U-turn in your past, or if you are making one right now, do not despair. It is actually a sign that your recovery is working. You've scared your old blocks. Recovering from a U-turn requires absolute compassion. You must treat yourself like a patient recovering from a minor accident. You acknowledge the slip, you refuse to beat yourself up, and you gently put your hands back on the creative wheel. Blasting through blocks, the 5 points. So, how do we actively blast through these blocks when we find ourselves paralyzed? We don't do it by charging at them with blind willpower. We do it through a clear, systematic 5-point diagnostic process. When you feel completely stuck on a project, grab your notebook and break down these exact 5 points. Point 1. Name the project. Be specific about exactly what piece of work, listing, or creative task is currently gridlocked. Point 2. Name your specific deep-seated fears. Write down the ugly, raw terrors. Are you afraid of looking foolish? Afraid of wasting time? Afraid of what people will say? Point 3. Name the external or internal critics. Identify whose negative voices are echoing in your head. Is it an old teacher, a parent, a harsh peer, or your own inner perfectionist? Point 4. Identify the secondary gain or the payoff for staying blocked. Be brutally honest here. Staying stuck protects you from vulnerability. What do you get to avoid by not finishing this? You get to avoid judgment, you get to stay safe, and you don't have to risk failing. Point 5. Create a concrete, small action step. What is one tiny, low-stakes thing you can do to break the ice? Not finishing the whole project, just doing 5 minutes of messy groundwork. Once you lay these 5 points out on paper, the block completely loses its invisible, catastrophic hold over you. You clear the psychological runway so you can finally get back to making your art. Allotted tasks from the book. This week features a brilliant, heavy-duty set of tasks designed to deeply explore your progress. Let's break down the 4 core assignments outlined in Image 4, PNG, and Image 5, PNG. Task 1, the Great Morning Pages Review. It's time to look back at your journey. Go back and read your morning pages. This process is best undertaken with 2 colored markers. Use one color to highlight major insights you've had and another color to highlight actions that are needed. As you read, remember this rule: do not judge your pages or yourself. Yes, they will often be boring. Yes, they may be painful. Consider them a map, not an indictment. Take stock, ask yourself, who have you consistently been complaining about over these weeks? What have you repeatedly procrastinated on? And what, blessedly, have you allowed yourself to change or accept? Take heart, notice if you have an alarming tendency toward black and white thinking, saying things like, "He's terrible, he's wonderful," or "It's a great job, it's a terrible job." Don't be thrown by this. Acknowledge, give the pages credit. They have allowed you to vent without self-destruction, to plan without interference, to complain without an audience, and to dream without restriction. Give yourself credit for undertaking them, and honor the growth they have fostered. Task 2, visualizing your ideal scene. You've already done work identifying your true north, but now it's time to fully imagine having your goal accomplished. Spend enough time filling in the juicy details that would make the experience wonderful for you. Complete the phrase. Name your goal, I am. Then, in the present tense, describe yourself doing it at the height of your powers. Read this ideal scene aloud to yourself, post it directly above your work area, and read it aloud daily. For the next week, collect actual pictures of yourself and combine them with magazine images to create a physical collage of your ideal scene. Seeing is believing, and adding your own photo makes it feel real. Task 3, priority mapping. Take a moment to explicitly structure your focus. List for yourself your creative goals for the entire year, then narrow it down and list your creative goals for the current month. And finally, list your creative goals specifically for this week. Task 4, healing creative U-turns and finding a totem. First, name one of your past creative U-turns. Name 3 more. Name the one that absolutely kills you to think about. Now, forgive yourself for all failures of nerve, timing, and initiative, and devise a personalized list of affirmations to help you do better in the future. Consider whether any aborted, abandoned, or savaged brain children can be rescued. Choose one U-turn, retrieve it, and mend it. If morning pages seem difficult or stupid right now, notice your resistance and do them anyway. Finally, choose an artist totem. It might be a doll, a carved figurine, a stuffed animal, or a wind-up toy. Choose something you immediately feel a protective fondness toward. Give your totem a place of honor and use it to remind you not to beat up on your artist child. The steps. As you navigate this week, keep the steps of compassion close to your heart. First, we stop calling our fear laziness. Second, we actively cultivate play and enthusiasm over rigid duty. Third, we recognize our creative U-turns as normal milestones of recovery rather than final failures. Fourth, we use the 5 points to diagnose our blocks. And fifth, We actively protect our inner artist child with visual cues and comforting totems. Compassion is the ultimate key that unlocks the door to your longevity as an artist. The check-in. Now, before we close out today's episode, it is time for our weekly check-in to reflect on how your journey through the previous week actually went. Take a quiet, honest moment to check in with yourself. Did you manage to write your morning pages every single day this past week? If you noticed yourself resisting the morning writing, what truth about your creative stamina or your hidden fears were you avoiding? How did it feel to explore your early achievement patterning last week? Were you able to write a letter of forgiveness to your younger self, or did you find yourself slipping back into old family scripts? Did you manage to take your artist date, and did you allow yourself to actively practice, filling the form, by taking a small, practical micro-step forward on a goal? Finally, did you catch yourself hiding away in the isolated ivory tower? Or were you able to show up for your process with a genuine sense of resilience and strength? Acknowledge whatever came up for you without an ounce of judgment. Every bit of awareness you gain is a step closer to your ultimate freedom. As you move into this next week, remember to be incredibly gentle with your artist child. You are not lazy, you are simply finding your footing. Stop forcing the work through misery, chase your genuine enthusiasm, and forgive yourself for your past U-turns. Dive into your page review, map your priorities, build your visualization collage, and find a tiny totem to protect your inner child. Your creative source loves your art, and you are fully allowed to enjoy the process. Keep writing your morning pages, protect your weekly artist date, and I will see you right here next week as we move into Chapter 10. Until then, take care of your artist and be compassionate.